Shang-Chi 2 has been in the works for about a year now, and while we patiently wait to see our favorite heroes back on the big screen, let's talk about some of our concerns. It's no secret that superhero movies in general haven't been completely reliable, even within the MCU recently. Apparently, the DC Studios' incompetence is contagious. Don't come at us, DC fans. Let's get right into it. First off, the Marvel formula. During Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we began to notice trends in the movies, which is fine, of course, but no one wants to see the same thing 20 times. And as fans, we don't want to see this cycle repeat in Shang-Chi. A huge criticism Marvel has faced is that if you've seen one movie, you've seen them all. And we don't necessarily agree because during Phase 1 and even Phase 2, we got some absolute gems out of the MCU, from the nuanced character development of Captain America and Iron Man to the final two, Endgame and Infinity War, absolute bangers. The problem though, or concern, wasn't a problem until recently. We all knew and noticed these little marvelisms in the films, where they'd make the same sort of jokes or similar plot lines, resolutions for characters. But it was bearable during Phase 1 because of just how good the movies were. In Phase 2, with movies like Shang-Chi, we don't know if we can ignore it anymore. With reused cliches and heavy CGI, it's hard not to notice these marvelisms being crammed into movies where they really just don't make sense or take away from the story. Case in point, guys, Shang-Chi. It's a great movie. It was unique and rooted in culture, unlike anything Marvel has done before, but was held back by needless CGI, Marvel standard jokes, and pacing. Coming up, Shang-Chi's dark origin. The MCU sometimes sacrifices unique plot lines for a safe, risk-free middle-of-the-road option, as per their infamous formula. Well, no thanks. The fans want the unique stories told in the comics, and we can only hope we see some of that in Shang-Chi 2. For example, did you guys know how cool Shang-Chi's origins are in the comics? Because wow, are they dark. The Ten Rings ancient relics meant to keep a weird space worm at bay. How cool is that? The space worm, by the way, has a cool name too, the Desolation Worm. This freaky space parasite seeks out all conscience to feed on and creates zombies with worms sticking out of their eyes. Yikes. In the comics, this whole plot line leads to the aliens' kidnapping of Shang-Chi. They take him to an arena to fight other warriors to see who deserves the rings and is best able to keep the worm at bay. Wouldn't this be so cool to see in Shang-Chi 2? We think so, but unfortunately, it won't be happening. Keep watching to find out why. Following up, Shang-Chi's villain problem. Once again, this ties to Marvel's formula and how their brand requires them to tell stories in a certain way. Gotta keep the cash flowing into the studios. Unfortunately, the whole space worm thing would probably require an R-rated film with horror themes. Yeah, exactly. When was the last time you saw Marvel make a horror-ish film? That's right, never. So basically, Marvel Studios and their brand will probably not be willing to make Shang-Chi head in this direction, and if they do, it'll probably be through a comedic lens. And yikes, please don't slaughter our boy Shang-Chi like you did Thor, Marvel. Anyway, this leads to a bigger problem. If not the Desolation Worm, then who? Who will be the villain of Shang-Chi 2? There simply aren't many memorable villains to choose from in the comics for Shang-Chi, and unless Marvel can create a compelling conflict in this film, we're afraid we might be heading for another Love and Thunder type disaster. It'd be a shame to watch our guy Shang-Chi be reduced to Marvel cliches and heavy CGI fights. Now, the villain of the first film, the Mandarin, Shang-Chi's father, Wen-Wu, was very compelling, and you'd think that was a good thing, right? Well, maybe not. Next up, the Wen-Wu problem. Marvel knocked it out of the park with this villain, and Tony Leung was amazing in the role, which is why we're afraid of how Marvel will maintain this quality for the next film. Tony won't be reprising his role. We think it's safe to say, considering how Wen-Wu became dinner for the Dweller in Darkness. This ties into the issue of Shang-Chi not having many villains to begin with, because now that this incredible completing arc has been resolved and Wen-Wu is dead, where does Marvel go from here? How do they bring in another compelling villain while maintaining the cultural aspects of the first movie? And how do they create plot lines as compelling as Shang-Chi coming face to face with his abusive father, who he loves and hates? The villain, Wen-Wu, was also complex and deep as a character. We saw his grief and guilt when he sacrificed himself for Shang-Chi. The point is, guys, this whole dynamic was well done and layered, and for Marvel to go from this to suddenly not having any comic book reference for a new villain 1 makes us worried we might see another risk-free, bland Marvel formula movie, guaranteed to make a few 100 million at the box office, but nothing amazing. So, is there an answer to this villain problem? And is there cause for us to be hopeful? Let's see. Solving the Shang-Chi villain problem. Carlton Velcro. Alright, we hear you. After making a whole spiel about how amazing Wen-Wu was, and how Marvel needed a compelling villain to rival him, our recommendation of a guy called Carlton Velcro might seem strange. Don't worry, this cartoony name also turned us off at first, but if you look past it, there's potential here, guys. Consider it as Marvel having the cloth. Maybe a weird, quirky cloth, but if they play their cards right, this could be tailored into the most sublime of suits. Anyway, this goofy Velcro guy is a drug dealer and a drug lord with a gigantic network, not to mention a cyborg. Marvel could salvage his character and turn it into a Joker-esque, dark, haunting villain for Shang-Chi to compete with. The amazing part, though, is that unlike with the first movie, this time, the story wouldn't have to be self-contained because Velcro comes with a whole network of other villains. And if Marvel can create some compelling plot lines, this could solve the villain problem Shang-Chi is having for good. We'd have plenty of villains for 5 Shang-Chis. Now, we're not saying that we want 5 Shang-Chis, but hey, give us a good movie, Marvel, and maybe we will. Of course, Marvel could go with Velcro, and we could still end up with a disaster. The Marvel formula potentially sinking Shang-Chi despite solving the villain problem. Let's suppose we go into the theaters whenever Shang-Chi returns, and despite Velcro being the big bad for the movie, we're met with an inspired and risk-free portrayal. That is a real possibility, and when you consider how the Marvel formula has been leaning into comedy lately, yeah, this could be another Love and Thunder waiting to happen. We don't know if we'll survive watching another of our boys being slaughtered for a safe box office piece. Sorry, we keep mentioning it, but Thor was our guy. Another concern is the very heavy CGI use Marvel has adopted. Shang-Chi was a great movie, don't get us wrong, but the CGI, even in that movie, at times was breaking our immersion, and knowing Marvel guys, when they can't think of anything else, they hit the CGI fight button. Even while all of this is regrettable, there are encouraging signals and reasons to be hopeful. Reasons to be hopeful that Marvel will get it right. As you probably know, Marvel went ham on the movie making at the end of Phase 1. It seemed like they were going for a quantity over quality approach, because many big draws like Iron Man and Captain America weren't in the picture any longer. Unfortunately, this didn't work because fans quickly got tired of 4 movies a year with bad CGI and nothing unique going on. Thankfully, they've learned at least some lesson from this, as they're taking their time with Shang-Chi 2, which is rumored to stay in production until 2025. So, there you have it, guys. The infamous Marvel formula will not spoil this movie, and there's cause for hope. Using Shang-Chi to tie into the rest of the MCU. If Marvel can solve the villain problem and maybe touch on some of the darker themes about Shang-Chi's origin from the comics, we'll have a good Marvel movie on our hands. Marvel could use the vast network of Velcro to tie Shang-Chi in with the rest of the MCU because it feels like a standalone at the moment. Maybe they could create a scenario where Shang-Chi would have to interact with Doctor Strange. That would be pretty exciting, but who knows? That's it for this one, guys. See you at the next one. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment down below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe.